Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, today has been just an absolutely beautiful day. I know I said that this morning, but I turned out to be correct on that one. I haven't been looking up in the sky constantly, but I've been outside most of the day, and I haven't seen any man-made streaks in the sky. So that's always a good sign. We actually have pretty much nice, clear, natural-looking skies. I guess. I mean, the sun doesn't look natural anymore and all that kind of stuff, but it's still a pretty day. Few things in the news I wanted to cover. Some of it, you might laugh or roll your eyes or think I'm a lunatic. Probably half of you already do anyways, so that's okay. China is, the deal between United States and China, it looks like that the whole trade negotiations has just fallen through. That's what's being reported. And the Trump administration says that they're going to come down pretty hard on some very stiff sanctions when it comes to technology, chips, things like that with China. So it looks like that it's possible that whole situation is, well, escalating once again, right? There's been some weird stuff going on, I guess you could say, with the whole Elon Musk and Trump relationship. And maybe it's just media manipulation. Elon Musk came out last week and said that he, was not in favor of what was going on with this big, beautiful bill, that it was undermining all the work that he had done with Doge, and then he came out and quit, which seemed to be pretty much on par with the schedule. But then now he's been back in the White House and has been announced that he's going to continue to be an advisor to the president. Now, this is the interesting thing that I want to point out, and it's probably, I'd say, a 99% chance. Maybe not 99, that it's nothing. I don't really get into these kind of off-the-wall, kind of strange conspiracies, red shoes and black eyes and things like that. I'm not saying they're not true. I just don't get into it. But I do think that it's kind of strange that all that happened last week, criticized Trump or this bill that Trump's pushing. And then he comes into the White House and the guy's got a black eye. Now, he gave it a reason for it. He said it was, he's playing with his son and stuff. And I don't really even know why I mention it, other than I just thought it was kind of interesting. There's a lot of people online saying, is he part of the Black Eye Club? Some of you have no clue what I'm talking about, but others do. And you can kind of figure that out on your own. The stuff that's going on, my goodness, between the wars and the technology and the trade and all this stuff that's happening, it's all moving very fast. And I still stick to my guns that the main thing that's going on, the theme that's going on, is just a lot of chaos. A lot of chaos that is bouncing back and forth, and no one seems to know one day to the next really where we're at. I don't like criticizing the president. I know some of you think I enjoy that, but another critique of him is he seems to be the cause of a lot of that. It's just back and forth. One day he's talking nice about, say, Joe Biden and making excuses that it was all these bad people that was on his staff that was trying to do things because he was an old man. And then today he's coming out, someone in the Oval Office asked him, this is on camera, asked him about Joe Biden having cancer, and he actually said some pretty unnice things. If you feel sorry for him, he's just a vile, evil old man. You shouldn't feel sorry for him having cancer. So it's just this back and forth, and it's been that way with trade. It's been that way with Russia and Ukraine and China and Taiwan and Israel. He's saying that we're not sending anything to Israel. He's given orders to the Pentagon to cut off all support to Israel. But in fact, we know that weapons shipments are still going to Israel. And that's probably the big thing that's right now in the news, is that Israel says that they are most definitely going to strike Iran. In fact, sources out of Israel, it's in the news. Now, of course, this is very possibly fake because it's in the news and half of the news is fake. I get that. But the news is reporting that sources inside the Israeli government say that the plan is to attack Iran on Shavuot, which is this weekend. And to kind of sort of go along with that, it's also in the news that the Saudi Arabian government has been in contact with Iran almost to the point of begging and pleading with them in the last few hours, today, yesterday, to please just accept a deal with the United States so that these attacks don't happen. Kind of supporting the intel that Israel is really just days away from attacking. And along with that intel out of Israel is that Israel already has plans for that Iran will retaliate, and that they're expecting up to potentially tens of thousands of missiles striking Israel. And the intelligence report is that Israel is making plans to basically their whole government, the whole country could possibly shut down for several days due to the intensity of the attack from Iran. And Iran made an announcement that on June 4th, which is just a few days away also, they're going to shut down all the airspace around Tehran. Now, that could just be training, it could be other things, but it's interesting that there's several little things that's happened today that's come out in the news that strongly indicate that Israel is going to make an attack on Iran, on its nuclear infrastructure in the next few days. Now, of course, time will tell. We could be standing here next week saying, well, I guess it didn't happen. But as of right now, it does look like that is becoming a more likely scenario. Now, let's just talk about that for a minute, because I know that some of you are going to say, yes, but this happened like a year or so ago. They kind of lobbed a few missiles back and forth, and it didn't even, nothing really happened. Everyone was freaking out, thought World War III was happening. It didn't. There is a difference. When that was going on, both sides really went out of their way to not strike any type of real critical targets. It was just a few missiles, although Iran did eventually launch quite a few. It still wasn't anything of any real significance. This time, Israel is saying that they will destroy Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Maybe not all of it, but even if they destroy a good significant amount, that's a big deal. Russia has warned that better never happen, and a few other countries have also. And if it happens, who knows the level of radiological disaster that this could cause. I'm not saying that, we're going to see a nuke go off because, they strike these areas, but it could definitely cause a radiological disaster, which could expand the amount of casualty that could happen. But here's the thing. Right now, as it seems, the whole world is against Israel in this matter, including the United States. Now, I still believe that that's fake, that's just a put on. But the reality is on the surface, the whole world's against Israel. That is biblical. And if Israel strikes Iran's nuclear targets, I don't think that we will necessarily immediately be compelled or propelled into World War III, or that it will immediately mean that the United States is in the crosshairs. But I do think that there's a strong possibility that little regional conflict could expand very rapidly. And it could definitely have biblical repercussions. Because again, countries that most people believe are talked about in Scripture have come out against Israel, saying that they better not do this, and Israel is saying that they're going to do it anyways. And the amount of chaos that could be happening, and I've been trying to play this out in my head. Okay, let's say they don't, nothing ends up happening. What's the point of all this? Who knows? If they do, it could indicate that all the stuff that we've been seeing so far is just kind of setting the stage as kind of almost a psyop to all these countries. Hey, let's work out some deals with all you other Middle Eastern countries, Syria, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, all this, while behind closed doors, Israel, along with secretively United States support, we're going to take out Iran. If this kind of does play out, at least in some way, as I'm speaking, I do think it could have some pretty serious repercussions. Again, I'm not indicating that it's immediately going to be a nuclear war, or that it's going to be World War III, or that it will immediately put the United States at risk. But those things could eventually come out of this, especially considering that there's already a conflict with Russia. There's buildup and heating up between China and Taiwan, even in the last several days. Some things have been going on there, more diplomatic and trade stuff, but still it's tensions building. And everyone kind of knows that at some point the United States is going to have to square off with China anyways. And they're all part of a little team there. Iran and North Korea and China and Russia, you know, they're all buddies. And they've all, in some form or fashion, come out supporting Iran and warning that no one should attack these nuclear facilities. So if this follows through, which, like I said, at this point, there are some strong indicators that it could happen. I mean, things could change in the next few days. But by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometime in that time period, we could potentially see, or Sunday, you know, I think I said Sunday, we could potentially see Israel making major attacks on Iran and Iran reciprocating those attacks into Israel. And yeah, I think it could be a very large deal. And I have a hard time believing that the United States is just going to set this one out. I know the things that Trump has said because of his personal relationship with Netanyahu seems to be on the rocks, but pretty much everyone in the Trump presidency, his family, and him have been probably the strongest supporters of Israel ever since Israel became a nation again. And so I would be very surprised, be shocked, if they just completely turn their back on Israel, especially if Israel does get struck by thousands of rockets and missiles from Iran. This isn't being talked about a lot. It's not really front page news right now. And maybe that's another indicator that it's becoming a stronger possibility. So keep watching on this. I'm not saying that, you know, you need to go out and mortgage your home and go this weekend and buy a bunch of stuff. But it doesn't hurt to be kind of on edge. Remember, Iran is probably the biggest supporter of terrorist cells, and there's many of them in the United States. Iran also exports a lot of oil, and if they get involved into a war, even though we may not import that oil, it could cause global oil prices to go up, which could cause oil prices here in the United States to go up, even if we're not buying that particular oil. A lot of things could happen. Maybe nothing will happen, but tensions seems to be right now on just a razor's edge, and it's still, even though the Trump administration is claiming that they're very close to a deal with Iran, nothing has been confirmed yet. And so the possibility of this happening in the next few days, I think, is becoming more real, and you need to get ready for this one. Keep your eyes open on this one also. Folks, get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.